Hi everyone, welcome back to Panathlon People. I'm your host, Dom Fenton, and today I'm joined by Kirsty. Hi Kirsty, how are you?
Hi Dom, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. It's great to have you on. We've been trying to organise this for a little while, but I'm so happy we've got this going now. So Kirsty, for those who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself and what you do?
Hello, so my name is Kirsty Williamson and I currently work for Active Cumbria and I am the Children and Young People's Development Officer for Education.
Big role.
Busy, yeah, lots
Busy role.
of fingers and lots of pies.
I can imagine. So how long have you been doing that role?
I started last April, so about 18 months now.
It goes really quick, quickly, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Wow. So, just in terms of, I know that we've spoken previously before, and we've obviously been working together across what you're doing. Previous role was a ex-head teacher, is that right?
Yeah, so as a head teacher for, oh gosh, 7 years, nearly 7 years in a primary school just outside Carlisle. And there was a teacher before that. So I did 19 years in education before I had my career change.
So you certainly put the hours in, let's say, to be able to do what you're doing now.
Yep.
It's good. It amazes me in terms of teachers, how long teachers do. And a lot of the time in one school as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I was in one school for about 15 years. I was in a few schools before that. And then, yeah, my last school I was in for nearly 15 years. So I think time just flies. It really just disappears.
And I can't believe we're now almost in November.
I know.
And that's just frightening. So just in terms of, if we take you back to when you were at the head teacher hat on, you've seen now a number of our events with Panathlon. What would you say, what's your perception of our events would have been as a head teacher?
So when I was the head teacher at the last school I worked in, we did get invited to Panathlon events, and I watched the video and I thought, oh, these are amazing, but I didn't feel that we had enough children that met the criteria in my school, so it just sort of got brushed to the side. And actually now what I say to head teachers and colleagues in schools is make a team up with other schools, bring the school up down the road. Everybody's got a few SEND children or just children who would benefit from coming to a Panathlon event, and the opportunity they get is absolutely amazing. So don't write it off because you don't think you've got the right kind of children, because undoubtedly you will have.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing, and I think obviously there's a lot of schools who look at what we do, may never have been to an event before, and always, as you say, always wonder if they've got a right number of children, concerned potentially about their children being involved in this. But it's great actually now that, yes, you saw a few as a head, but obviously now your role with Active Cumbria, hopefully we can make a bigger impact in terms of the county of Cumbria. So now with Active Cumbria hat on, so obviously children, young people, when did you, obviously you've seen a number of Panathlon events anyway, what was it that sort of made you get involved with Panathlon in the first place?
So not long after I started, I got to attend the county Panathlon finals, and just seeing the enjoyment on the kids' faces, the way they were engaging with the activities, with the young leaders, and really getting that rich and varied opportunity to experience physical activity at their own level, it blew me away. It was brilliant. So since then, we've been working alongside yourself and Tony to try and develop and expand and make sure that all schools in Cumbria are aware of what Panathlon do and are getting invited and coming to the events.
And I think this is the thing, we've been working closely in terms of the events across the county. Just talk to me and just explain to the viewers and the listeners about Cumbria, because I know for a fact how big it is, but I don't think necessarily people would have that sort of idea.
Yeah, so it's really spread out geographically wise, lots of lakes and hills and mountains sort of in the middle, in the way, lovely to have and absolutely brilliant. But yeah, it makes it really difficult logistically to organise events. So making sure that we hold plenty of local events that schools can access, but then also it's nice to bring them together for county finals. You know, school games has moved away from competition, but it's not saying there's no competition. It's about competition for children on an equal playing field and, you know, giving children the opportunity to compete against others in similar situations themselves, rather than looking for the county champions and everything. It's about having fair competition. So Panathlon really does give people the opportunity to do that.
And I think that's what we're seeing as, you know, certainly in now being able to travel around. Obviously, how important is it for children on the SEND register to get involved and have these opportunities and to be able to be part of it? Because obviously one of the things that we've noticed with yourselves, with us working around the country, is that some don't want finals, some don't want that pathway. And actually, this is a really important part of what you're trying to do with Active Cumbria, is create those pathways and give children these lasting memories and these lasting opportunities.
I think it's making sure there's a balance. You know, nobody in the world can keep everybody happy all of the time, but it's offering those different pathways and different opportunities, so they're there for people that want them. I mean, we find that some of the schools, some of the special schools, are the schools that are bringing students the journey. They're having their packed lunch. That is a massive part of the day. It's developing their life skills. It's that understanding of time and distance, and actually we're going somewhere and where it is, and looking at it on a map, as well as taking part in the event when they get there. There's a lot of schools that really build it in to make it part of the whole learning experience for the children.
And I think it's really important now that obviously from the opportunities that we're able to give, and I really don't think, unless you're within Cumbria, people will fully understand how wide the county is and how potentially isolating some of the schools feel, just in terms of where they are. And I think it's really, hopefully, something that you can see that we're working with you on, is to try and engage every child that we can by, I suppose, moving them, you know, having different events around different parts of the county. How impressed have you been with that part of it?
I think that's something that definitely, since I started 18 months ago, I know we're getting more events. And when schools are asking, it's great that I can ring you or ring Tony or drop you an email and say, oh, a school in Maryport have asked for it. And I know you're working with the SGO, who's based at the second school in Maryport, to get events there that haven't been held there before. So certainly you're very responsive and reactive. And you know, that's what I say to schools. I say to teachers, tell me what it is that you want. Can't promise we'll do it, but we'll try our hardest to make sure that, you know, that we really can meet your needs.
Yeah, and now that's taken me on to the next part. You know, one of the things that was quite not obvious, but a need that you wanted, was the swimming galas. So from a swimming point of view, how have you found the galas that have been put on? And obviously, where now we want to take that to another level, I suppose, in terms of being able to provide more.
So we held a swimming gala, I think it was start of November last year in Kendal, and it was sort of our pilot project. Let's try and see how it goes. And again, it was fab. I mean, Panathlon events are so well organised. They're so slick. They run like clockwork. It's amazing. I'm always in awe of how well you pull everything together. I think for me, there was a little boy, and I'll always remember it, and colleagues spotted him as well. And, you know, at the start of the event, he was crying. He didn't want to go in. He wasn't going to do it. And by the end, he was in the pool. He was jumping around, splashing, taking part. He was loving it. And to see that growth, that impact in the space of an hour, that's why we do these things. That's sort of what brings it all together. So from that, now looking at this academic year, having more swimming panathlons spread across the county, and I know you're working on different venues, but then looking to pull together a county event, probably in Carlisle, at a new pool. We've got brand new pools with the hoists and the facilities that we would need in the Sand Centre in Carlisle, and looking at bringing together a sort of super gala, I suppose, for schools that have attended the local ones, and you feel, or Tony feels, you know, actually these schools need to be stretched a little bit further. These kids can do a little bit more. You know, it's all about building water confidence and children being happy to be in the water, but actually let's keep challenging them. We do find in Cumbria we have lots of problems with drownings each year. And there was a drowning in the summer, a teenage boy in one of the rivers. And, you know, water safety is so important, but especially when I said, as I said before, we've got lots of lakes.
Yeah, and I think that's it. And I think there's always stuff going on outside of school, and there's, you know, and unfortunately with this young person that obviously was with the drowning and everything else, it's, for us, it's really important to be able to provide those opportunities. And as you said, our discovery is very much about water confidence, and about just giving those children and young people that opportunity to be in the water. You know, and then we look at the opportunity for leaders. So how big is leadership with you as a county? And obviously now what we're doing and working with yourself around leadership.
So again, that's something that we're looking to expand and develop. So last year you had young leaders, I think there were year 6s, year 5s and year 6s from a local school, and they were absolutely fantastic. What we've started doing this year, which is a bit of a new thing, is getting some inclusive sports star leaders in to support with the mainstream young leaders. So we started that at a few events last year, and we're looking to get them along to some of the Panathlon events this year, just to give that breadth of opportunity and those experiences for everybody, you know, making sure that if just, you know, just because you're a special school sports leader doesn't mean you can't support a mainstream school.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, no, and I think that's really important. And I think it just gives those children more opportunity to work with more children, because again, they won't always be around different children in their school. So actually, you know, they may not have friends who've got special educational needs, but actually them now coming to work with them, whether it's on the pool, whether it's at other events, creates a learning for them that I don't think many other things could.
No, and it's acceptance and it's tolerance and it's inclusivity and it's all those sort of really important objectives that we maybe don't write down, but actually are happening and are so valuable.
Yeah. How, you touched on it a little bit earlier, how important is it to you to look at the wider picture in terms of, yes, we run events and we provide all these different opportunities, but actually around the learning for these children, they might never have been on a school trip. They may never have won a medal. They may have not been part of a team before. So actually, how important are almost the stories as much as anything else in terms of obviously what we're doing together?
I think it's all really valuable. You know, if we go back to this Women Gala, that came because they visited some schools after the Panathlon multi-skills event to do focus groups, to speak to the children and the staff, you know, to really dig in. We do surveys, but to really dig into what is it that you enjoy? What is it that you are getting the benefit from? What would you like changed? And it was a little girl in a school, well, there's a few people, but, you know, a little girl in specifically that jumps out that asked about having a swimming event. So, you know, youth voice is so important. We went away, thought about it, spoke about it, and it happened. And they came in their school and she was buzzing. There was an article about her. And, you know, it is that the children are asking for this and we're listening, we're trying to meet your needs, but we're not just telling you what you need. We're not saying, well, we think you need this. We're listening to actually the young people, to their teachers, to the staff that are working alongside them and making sure that we are, you know, picking as many boxes as we can and giving them that breadth of opportunity. For some children, the best part of the day is lunchtime, but actually, if you are making your own packed lunch because you're going on a trip and you're eating your lunch and you're tidying up and all the rest of it, that's all life skills.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the amount of children that talk about lunchtime, the amount of children that come to our events, and the first question we get, when's lunch?
Yeah,
well,
or they've eaten lunch before they get there.
Yeah, and they've already done that. And we get to, you know, and we then say, okay, well, you know, you have that opportunity, but now let's really work on this. And as you say, there are so many stories that come out and so many opportunities that come out, especially when we consider how wide the county is. You know, and the fact that I remember having, you know, we've run events in obviously someone like Barrow, where actually there's not a huge amount of opportunities for them to take part because they are that much further out. But actually being able to bring them, be able to actually go into there, put the events on for them, that schools can then come together and then look at other events they can come to. It's just a massive journey for them, isn't it?
It is, and I think, you know, it's appreciated. I think schools do appreciate when we make the effort to go to them rather than them always having to have the long journeys, you know. I think they recognise that effort that we're putting in.
Yeah, I must admit, I've had many hours driving across Cumbria to each event, but every event, you know, every event is a different opportunity for these children to take part, whether it is the temping, whether it is the swimming, whether it is the multi-skills. And actually, how the children react to them and how grateful a lot of the staff are. And the fact is, even some of our events, for example, the multi-skills, it's an opportunity for the staff to learn, because actually they're seeing games that we put on that they've never even thought about or seen. So actually it's a great chance for them to take back into school. Just moving on a little bit in terms of, and you've touched on it a little bit about the work that you guys are doing at the moment, which is obviously trying to support schools that have never done it before, and maybe answer some of those questions that head teachers have, or PE leads have, or Senkos have in terms of the events. You know, what are the biggest messages that you could give to someone listening who maybe, and they don't even, you know, this goes out to the whole of this is open to other people, all people to listen to. In terms of the message to, you know, if you for a moment wasn't engaged, what would we have to show you as a head teacher to encourage you to come into one of our events? Or how, even from us or yourself, or, you know, obviously you're working hard with us anyway to do that. But if there's, you know, if you had your head teacher hat on, what would we need to do to engage you to come to the event?
I think we're doing a lot. I think schools just need to make the effort and say, we're going to try it, because once they've tried it, they won't not come back. They'll be hooked. They'll be coming to every event. All the feedback we get at Panathlon events is amazing. It's so positive. And generally, the thing that we're asked to improve on is, can we have more events?
That's a nice position to be in.
It is.
That is a nice position. And especially, I think as well, you know, there's a lot of children and young people across the UK that haven't been to events, haven't had the opportunity. So actually, for us now to be able to offer these opportunities around not just Cumbria but the whole of the UK, obviously something must be working.
Yeah.
So just finally, in terms of Active Cumbria and Panathlon, where do you see things moving? Obviously, from your point with your role, is it just a case of we just want to see more events? What's the sort of, where do you think this can go?
So we've got more events this year, haven't we? We've got our botch events coming in there new, and we're excited to try a Key Stage 1 event. We do find that the school games unfortunately starts at Key Stage 2, but we've managed to get some funding from the New Balance Foundation, which is allowing us to work with you to provide a Key Stage 1 Panathlon. So that'll be our pilot project this year. Obviously, whenever I do a pilot project, if it goes well, I hope that we'll be able to expand it. So yeah, it is about having more events, but also it's about reaching those schools who have never been to an event before and getting them to come along. We want every school to be attending a Panathlon event every year, and we want the problem to be that they're oversubscribed and we can't fit everybody in.
Well, let's hope that we can get to, I'm sure we can get to a point. Obviously, we've seen the increase over the last 2 years probably now that we've been working together. Let's hope, I can see it only continuing from here. I can see it only getting bigger. Obviously, we've got county finals as well this year. So it's an exciting time to be involved with Active Cumbria and Panathlon. Kirsty, all I want to say is a massive thank you for your time. I'm so glad we finally got to do this. And thank you to all the listeners and all the viewers for tuning in. I'm Dom Fenton and I'm your host, and we'll see you next time. Thanks very much. Take care.
Bye.